Candace, Jerry, have eight under. So, items 5.1. Hugh, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we do not have any delegations tonight. We do have two public meetings. And the first public meeting, I declare this public meeting to be open. This public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by Michael and Lindsay Higgins. Concession 2, Part Lot 29 as RP 44R 1065, Part 2 to Part 4, Northeast Hope Ward, 2529, line 37. This meeting is an opportunity for the township to advise the public of the purpose and intent of the amendment and receive their input prior to considering adoption of an implementing bylaw. If a bylaw is adopted to implement the zoning amendment, a notice of passing will be forwarded by prepaid first-class mail to various agencies of interest and others who have requested notice. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the adoption of the bylaw may be filed with the clerk not later than the date stated on the notice. Any person attending this meeting who wishes to receive written notice of a bylaw passed to implement the amendment is asked to give their name and mailing address to the clerk following this meeting. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested by email following the meeting. And all persons attending this meeting will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. I now will call on Planner Melissa Gassick to present the planning report and recommendations. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I will be presenting an application to rezone the land at 2529 line 37. Next slide, please. Matt, can we get, oh. So the land is 16.5 hectares in size and fronts onto line 37. The shape of the land is irregular, reflecting the township's aggregate operation next door. The pit is slightly encroaching on the site. Both the northerly and southerly end of the property on either side of the aggregate pit are actively used for farming. The land is bisected by two drains, one running through the middle of the property, through the northerly middle of the property, and then the southerly drain through the southerly portion. The existing uses on site are comprised of an existing residence, accessory shed, greenhouse, and a retail store. There are two access points to the site. The easterly access serves the retail building, and the western driveway is owned by the township, and that piece is subject to an easement in favor of the owner. The owner is proposing an on-farm diversified use that will include on-site preparation of food and both indoor and outdoor dining areas. The existing store will be used for retailing, food preparation, and food takeout. Also, the owner is proposing an outdoor dining area within a covered tent to be used seasonally in the spring, summer, and fall for a maximum of 50 people. Next slide, please. So here I have just summarized the OMAFRA guidelines on permitted uses in Ontario prime agricultural areas, provides guidance for the interpretation of the PPS on the uses that are permitted in prime agricultural areas. So I'm not going to go into detail because this is all in the report, but section 2.3 of the document provides guidance for essentially on-farm diversified uses. The guide stipulates that on-farm diversified uses should be related to agriculture, supportive of agriculture, or be able to coexist without conflict. And additionally provide farm operators the ability to diversify and supplement their income. So their 5 main criteria is essentially that the business is located on a farm, that it's secondary to the principal use uh, of the farm property for agricultural purpose, and that is limited in area, and it can include a variety of occupations, a really wide range of occupations can be considered as on-farm diversified use. And most importantly, it shall be compatible and not hinder surrounding agricultural operations. And I believe that this business, as proposed, satisfies all these criteria. Next slide, please. So essentially, this is the proposal. It's a fairly large parcel of land, and this is just the northerly portion. So as I said, the agricultural zone permits a range of farm-related uses. However, the zoning bylaw itself predates the guidelines, which permit a greater range of on-farm diversified uses. The zoning bylaw, through the agricultural use definition, permits the growing, raising, packing, treating, storing, and sale of produce produced on the premises. This is in line with the on-farm diversified use. The proposal is to expand on the sale of produce and include retailing of food produced on the farm, takeout, and indoor and outdoor dining. Additionally, the lot is undersized. However, undersized lot, which lacks the required frontage and area, may be used for the same purposes as a regular-sized lot, including secondary farm occupation, provided the lot meets the prescribed provisions, including the description that the lot has not changed since the passing of the bylaw. So since we were not able to confirm this, the proposal is to rectify this through the site-specific provision, which would apply to the lands, and recognize the existing lot as is, which is 16.5 hectares, and to permit the proposed on-farm diversified use. Secondary farm occupations permit the uses that are involved in the manufacture or fabrication of goods, small-scale food processing operations, value-added processing or packing operations, trade occupations, craftsperson or artist, and occupations which are primarily and directly related to agriculture and farming. The proposal is to add site-specific provisions to permit on-farm diversified use consisting of on-farm retail and restaurant use in consistency with the PPS, since they're not specifically permitted in the current secondary farm occupation provisions in the zoning bylaw. And I will just go briefly through what is being proposed. So as I said, retail store for the sale of food prepared on-site, commercial kitchen with a maximum gross floor area of 100 square meters, indoor restaurant with a maximum gross floor area of 200 square meters, outdoor within a temporary structure, outdoor restaurant with a maximum gross floor area of 100 square meters, accessory retail to the permitted uses with a maximum gross floor area of 100 meters. The proposal is to additionally limit the requirement for one loading space as the business obtains 85% of the food inputs from the farm, and deliveries when needed are done by small vehicles. This concludes my public meeting presentation. Thank you. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application, and a request that you give your name and address for the record when they are recognized? Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent, and a request that they give their name and address for the record when they are recognized? Does the applicant or the applicant's agent have any comments in respect to the application and draft zoning bylaw or the comments that have been made? Agent Caroline Baker has registered to speak with regards to the application and is joining us virtually.
Good evening, Mayor, members of
Members
council.
of the
You can hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
And I apologize, I think there's a little bit of feedback. I'll be very brief. Ms. Gassick provided an excellent summary of the applications for public meeting before you this evening. I wanted to concur with her conclusions with respect to the applications being consistent to provincial policy. Certainly, as I'm sure you're aware, OMAFRA has provided very helpful and detailed guidelines to assess on-farm diversified uses as a way to support the agricultural community. And certainly our conclusions align with Ms. Gassick's that this is in fact on-farm diversified and will support not only their farming operation, but the surrounding farming operations in Perth County. I'm certainly here to answer any questions, or if there's members of the public that come forward after this, happy to answer their questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. Are there any questions from members of council? Seeing no questions, council will consider a resolution regarding the planning report recommendation following the conclusion of the public meeting. Bylaw number 205-2022 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered at a later date. Okay, and then our second public meeting. I declare this public meeting to be open. This public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by James and Nancy McGuire, Concession 7, East Part Lot 3, Ellis Ward, 4080, line 42. And I'm going to skip down the preamble. I'm going to go right to Melissa, so the floor is yours.
So the rezoning application is required as a condition of consent file B 39-22, which is received conditional approval to sever a dwelling that is surplus to a farm operation. The consent application was endorsed by Perth East Council on November 22nd and approved on December 14th. The enlarged severed portion of the land is shown in the center. That's what's being severed. Condition number 9 of consent B39 requires a ZBA to rezone both the retained and severed parcels. Next slide, please. So the severed parcel will, with the residents, will be rezoned from agricultural zone A to agricultural special zone A1, while the retained farm lot will be rezoned from agricultural zone A to agricultural special zone A51. The severed portion, which is 2,987 meters, will only be used for non-farm residential purposes, which is like a single detached dwelling, home occupation, bed and breakfast establishment, while also including applicable zoning provisions for accessory structures and uses. On the retained land, there will be a prohibition on any new residential dwellings from being constructed. The retained lot complies with the lot area requirement, but is already non-compliant with regards to the frontage, and the frontage is being further reduced by the proposed severance. So they have existing 156 meters, and that is further being reduced to 111 meters, whereas 200-meter frontage is required in the A zone. So the A51 zone prohibits any new residential dwelling from being constructed on the retained farm parcel and applies to lots that are undersized, like in this case, and that do not have the required frontage, which is in this case required is 200 meters. The rezoning will ensure conformity with section 5631 of the County of Perth Official Plan and consistency with section 2341C of the provincial policy statement. This concludes my presentation. I can answer some questions.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application and a request that they give their name and address for the record when they are recognized? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? And I request that they give their name and address for the record when they are recognized. Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent have any comments in respect to the application and draft zoning bylaw or the comments that have been made? Seeing no one, are there any questions from members of council? No questions. Council will consider a resolution regarding the planning report recommendation following the conclusion of the public meeting. Bylaw number 211-2022 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered later within the council agenda. The public meeting is now concluded and will continue with the regular meeting of council. So the first motion that we have for the first public meeting is that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the planner dated December 20, 2022, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14-Z05-2022-PE by Mike and Lindsay Higgins, affecting lands described as Concession 2, Part Lot 29 as RP 44R1065, Part 2 to Part 4, Northeast Hope Ward, 2529, line 37, Township of Perth East for information, and that council held a public meeting in order to receive comments from the public. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. In the second public meeting, the Council of the Township of Perth East received the report dated December 20, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment number D14-Z11-2022-PE, submitted by James and Nancy McGuire, affecting lands described as Concession 7, East Part Lot 2 and 3, Ellis Ward, Township of Perth East, 4080, line 42, and that council held a statutory public meeting pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment D14-Z11-2022-PE, and that council approves zoning bylaw amendment number 211-2022. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have no public hearings. Next, we'll move down to planning, and the first thing on planning is our Perth County Official Plan Amendment by Mike and Lindsay Higgins, Lynn River Farms, and Melissa, the floor is yours.
So this is an accompanying official plan amendment to get this on-farm diversified use established on this farm. Next slide, please. So this is the aerial view of the land. Like I said, it fronts onto line 37 and is actively used for farming. There's an existing residence, accessory shed, greenhouse, and retail store. Next slide, please. So this is the same image as earlier. So in addition to the dining areas that are being proposed, there's next to the tent in the southerly portion of the site, there will be a pergola with wood-burning barbecue and a portable washroom. The owner is all proposing to construct a building for indoor dining close to the retail store, approximately 20 feet by 30 feet in size. In the summer months, the outdoor area will be closed. So outdoor area and indoor area will kind of work seasonally. So the easterly access serves as the existing retail store access point, and westerly access serves the residence that is located like in the southerly cluster. Both access points will remain. Adequate parking will be provided in the northerly cluster of uses, which will be comprised of retail and dining. And there are currently 9 parking spaces, and the owners will be providing 12 parking spaces when the building for indoor dining is erected. There's an existing pedestrian path that connects the northerly parking area and retail to the outdoor dining area to the rear of the site. The pathway will remain and will provide connection to the southerly cluster of uses. The owners are proposing the following hours of operation. So retail store will be operational 5 days a week, so 5 days from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Dining will be happening 3 days per week in the evening with 1 seating of patrons, no turnover tables or customers. Deliveries to the site are minimal, as most food is grown on site. And as I mentioned earlier, 80%, 85% of the food is grown on premises, and only 15% is delivered from surrounding Perth County farms. The existing retail store is currently connected to a septic bed and a well, and as is the existing dwelling, the septic system may need to be enlarged to accommodate indoor dining, and this will be resolved at the building permit stage. The outdoor dining does not require any sanitary or water services. To facilitate the development proposal, the owner is requesting an official plan amendment to add a site-specific policy pertaining to the preparation of food, indoor and outdoor dining, and retailing of food produced on premises. An accompanying zoning bylaw, which was heard, Z05, is likewise proposing, excuse me, to add site-specific provisions pertaining to the said uses to the agricultural zone. Today, we are recommending that Perth East Council endorses OPA 214. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Any questions of the report? No questions? Okay. Council of the Township of Perth East received a report prepared by the planner dated December 20, 2022, entitled Perth County Official Plan Amendment Number 214 by Mike and Lindsay Higgins, affecting lands described as concession to Part Lot 29 as RP 44R 1065, Part 2 to Part 4, Northeast Hope Ward 2529, Line 37, Township of Perth East for information, and that council endorse Official Plan Amendment 214 to the County of Perth Official Plan. Moved by Bob, second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second item in planning is part lot control. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tonight, I will also be presenting two part lot control applications for lots 33 and 34 of the Geese subdivision in Milverton. Next slide, please. So the lots are located, as I said, on lot 33 and 34 of the second phase of the Geese subdivision. Each of these lots contain two semi-detached dwellings. Lot 33 is an interior lot, and lot 34 is a corner lot. The owners of the property have requested the lots 33 and 34 of the registered plan 44M-80 be exempt from part lot control to allow the subdivision of the two residential units on each lot. An application for exemption from part lot control allows for a lot line to be located precisely along the common wall between two units in a semi-detached dwelling, which is the case for these two lots. The subject property is designated residential in the Milverton official plan and zoned R2-13, which is a residential medium density special provision in the Perth East zoning bylaw. The R2 zone permits one unit of a semi-detached dwelling per lot. The proposal is in conformity with the provisions of the Perth East zoning bylaw and other relevant planning policies. Both parts of each lot conform to the provisions of the Perth East zoning bylaw as well. The site-specific measurements are included in the report. Next slide, please. So some site photos. Perth County is the delegated approval authority for bylaws to exempt lots in a plan of subdivision from part lot control within the Township of Perth East. If Perth East Council proceeds with the adoption of the part lot control bylaw, it will be forwarded to Perth County for approval. It is recommended that Perth East Council adopt this bylaw 770-2022 to exempt lots 33 and 34 from part lot control for the purposes of further subdividing these lots, and to forward the bylaw to Perth County for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Any questions of the report? Seeing no questions, we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the planner entitled Part Lot Control Application PLC-06-2022-PE and PLC-07-2022-PE, submitted by Van Harten Surveying, Inc., dated December 20, 2022, and affecting lands described as lots 33 to 34, registered plan 44M-80, Mornington Ward, Township of Perth East, Pew Street, Milverton, for information, and that council will adopt bylaw number 70-2022 and forward to the County of Perth for approval. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. Is there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Melissa. Next, we're going to move to the CAO, and the first report is on the Percon subdivision street naming, and I believe Eric is going to give that report.
Yes, thank you. So the first report tonight is about the Percon subdivision street naming. So Percon Developments, Inc. has submitted proposed street names for their industrial subdivision located at 6332 Perth Road 131. They propose Apple Blossom Way, Hawthorne Court, Oak Run Avenue. Perth County, the Public Works Department, and the Perth East Fire Department have been circulated with these names and have no issues. So we are asking council to, or we are recommending council to approve the following names. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Any questions of the report? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that council of the Township of Perth East receive the Percon subdivision street naming report prepared by the Development and Drainage Coordinator dated December 20th, 2022 for information, and that council approves the following street names: Apple Blossom Way, Hawthorne Court, and Oak Run Avenue. Moved by Andrew, second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second report is Bill 23, More Homes Built Faster. Eric?
Thank you. Yeah, the second report will focus on the changes to the Development Charges Act under Bill 23, as planning staff will be bringing forward another report that focuses on more of the planning changes in the bill. So Bill 23 does amend the Development Charges Act by freezing, reducing, from fees typically levied by municipalities and other authorities. So it's going to significantly impact the cost of development. There are new exemptions from development charges for affordable residential units, attainable units, and nonprofit housing developments and affordable housing units. There's a reduction into development charges for the development of rental housing, and now new development charges bylaws will need to be phased in, which that means the first year there will be a 20% reduction in the development charges that could be imposed. Second year, 15%, third year, 10%, and last year, 5%, and then they go to their total development charges. Another thing is development charges bylaws may now be in place for 10 years rather than 5. There's a maximum interest rate, which is prime +1, that municipalities can charge on development charges in certain circumstances for residential, institutional, nonprofit housing. And there's a requirement that municipalities spend at least 60% of their development charge reserve fund for priority services. So the Township of Perth East Development Charges Bylaw 59-2021 was approved on November 2nd, 2021, and it expires on November 4th, 2026. So the phase-in won't necessarily affect us right now, but come November 4th, 2026, if we implement another development charges bylaw, it will need to be phased in with the current regulations. The legislation will have a significant impact on Perth East. Municipalities, especially Perth East, are limited in the ways that we can collect revenue, so we often rely on transfers from other levels of government. So with the changes, or development charges have always been a way for development to pay for development. So with these changes, it's going to be a lot more difficult for us to take on the burden of new capital infrastructure while also addressing our own asset deficit. There we go. So it's going to force our municipality to find an alternative revenue stream to support these costs of the required development. So we've always used the full powers of development charges in order to address our infrastructure deficit and help fund new capital infrastructure projects. So now, without any development charges and with limited, they haven't announced any governmental transfers, it is going to have somewhat of an impact on us and probably our taxpayers. And the amendment for the development charges, with the phasing in, may promote some developers to kind of wait for that phase-in period so they can save even more money if they wait till it's phased in year one, where it's 20% reduced. So staff believe that this will have a negative impact on municipalities and will do little to help the building of new homes. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Is there any questions? Jeremy?
Yeah, Eric, you mentioned about priority services. We have to spend the money on priority services. What is a priority service?
Thank you. I think Paula may be able to help out with that one. I'm not 100% certain.
I think what they're referring to on priority services are the projects that you had designated within your DC study, and you would need to address those with priority for your projects. So the requirement is we need to spend or allocate 60% of the DCs annually. So the question amongst the area treasurers and the MFOA Association is, what does allocate mean? Can we allocate the funds to certain projects annually, and then if a project doesn't go forward, are we able to reallocate again in the following year, that 60%? We're not sure exactly what that means right now and investigating that.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing no more questions, the Council of the Township of Perth East received the Bill 23, More Homes Built Faster Act 2022 report prepared by the Development and Drainage Coordinator dated December 20th, 2022 for information. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll move to the clerk, and the first one is the appointment of our Integrity Commissioner. Ashley?
Okay, thanks, Mayor Eggetz. I don't have much to add to this report, other than North Perth did have this at their council meeting last night and did approve the joint agreement. I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Questions of the report? Jerry?
I believe at the county, did we not accept Mr. Stewart? And then now I see he's not accepting Perth East. Just clarification on that.
Yes, so that was for the next report, closed meeting investigator. Integrity Commissioner Services, he's no longer offering, but he is keeping closed meeting investigator services.
Yeah, the county has a different Integrity Commissioner. Any more questions? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the appointment of an Integrity Commissioner report prepared by the Municipal Clerk dated December 20, 2022 for information, and that Council appoint Guy W. Journal of the firm Fasken Martineau Dumoulin LLP as the Township of Perth East Integrity Commissioner, and that Council authorize the Mayor and the Clerk to sign bylaw 71-2022 to enter into an agreement with Guy W. Girono of the firm Fasken Martineau Dumoulin LLP. Moved by Jerry, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. And our next report is the closed meeting investigator. Ashley?
Okay, thanks, Mayor Eggetz. This report, the member municipalities have all also approved the appointment for Gregory Stewart. Perth South has their meeting tonight, so I don't know if they have or not, but they hopefully will be tonight. And then the agreement that's attached is our current agreement, just so council could see what the terms are for their information. It would just be the actual dates of the agreement that would change, and I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions of the report? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the closed meeting investigator contract renewal report prepared by the Municipal Clerk dated December 20, 2022 for information, and that Council appoint Gregory Stewart of the firm Donnelly and Murphy LLP as the Township of Perth East closed meeting investigator, and that council authorized the mayor and the clerk to sign bylaw 72-2022 to enter into an agreement with Gregory Stewart of the firm Donnelly and Murphy LLP. Moved by Jeremy, second by Bob. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll move to finance, and the first report is property tax adjustments. Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. So council has before them tonight the annual property tax adjustments report. And this is a report on any adjustments to property tax levies that we have assessed in 2022. And they can go back to 2 years prior to that, to 2020 and 2021. So the write-offs that occurred in 2022 totaled $345,000. And of that, $176,000 was related to the township's tax levy. The remaining amounts were associated with the county and education taxes. So these amounts are within the 2022 budget of $259,000. And that concludes my report. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions of the report? No questions, so we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Treasurer dated December 20, 2022, entitled Property Tax Adjustments for Information, and that Council approve the tax adjustments listed in this report totaling $399,940.94 to be written off in accordance with Section 39.1 and 40 of the Assessment Act, Section 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001 C25 as amended. Moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we have no reports from Public Works. Oh, sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Yes, we do have another one under Finance, the 2023 General Insurance Renewal. Sorry, Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. So council has before them the 2023 general insurance renewal, and the renewal came in at a 10.05% increase with a total premium of $318,241 plus taxes. There were a couple smaller changes, only a couple changes to comprehensive crime. They changed the social engineering increase from $50,000 to $500,000 deductible. And facility users liability, the tenant's legal liability increased from $250,000 to $1 million. And we require $1 million liability insurance for many facility users. Cybersecurity is increasingly difficult to maintain. The municipality has maintained within the renewal, and that came in at a 6.2% increase for a total premium in 2023 of $8,630. And I believe Jeff Musser from Aon is online if there's any further questions regarding the renewal. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from members of council? No questions. Okay, we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Treasurer dated December 20, 2022, entitled 2023 General Insurance Renewal for Information, and that Council accept the proposal from AON Risk Solutions for the 2023 Insurance and Risk Management Program for a total premium of $318,241 plus taxes. We need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we will move to no reports from Public Works, no reports from our building bylaw enforcement, Recreation and Community Services. We have the pre-budget approval of the All Wheels Park. Becky, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. As council is aware, the Milverton All Wheels Park Committee has been fundraising for their park. To date, they're just slightly over $220,000 that they received in grants and donations. With one of the large grants that they did receive will be publicly announced the week of January 9th. Received confirmation of that this week. So I am asking for pre-budget approval on this so that we can get in the schedule of the contractor for construction of the facility, and with the hopes that early spring we'd actually be second in line as far as building in 2023.
Okay.
If there's any questions?
Questions? No questions? I just want to say congratulations to them. They've done an awesome job of getting where they are so quickly. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them. So we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the pre-budget approval for All Wheels Park Project Report prepared by the Recreation and Community Services Manager dated December 20, 2022 for information, and that Council approve the All Wheels Park Project to be included in the 2023 Perth East capital budget and award the works to Canadian Ramp Company. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Jerry. Any more comments or questions? Hugh?
No, there was only one thing in it. It said the township is collecting $50,000 development charges to contribute to the growth eligibility component of the project. Just what exactly was that?
Becky?
I was going to say Mike will answer that.
Mike? Okay.
I will certainly try. Through you, Mayor Agates. So it's topical since we talked about development charges earlier. In the background study that was completed to develop the development charges bylaw that currently exists within Perth East, this project was identified as part of that project. And that project, that portion of the project, $50,000, was identified as servicing the growth within the community, in particular Milverton. So the DCs that we are collecting going forward are contributing towards that $50,000 for this project.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, next under fire, we have the Emergency Hazardous Material Response - Cleanup Services. Bill, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. Tonight's report is the RFP results for hazardous materials contractor. This RFP was facilitated by North Perth, and all of the fire departments in Perth County, plus the city of Stratford and the town of St. Mary's participated. It will give us a hazardous material contractor that would be available to respond when we require them. It would also establish a storage supply of of items for us to use in the event of a spill or containment issues. The nice part about the whole agreement is there's no retainers, there's no fees unless we have to call them in, and with the supplies, there's no charge until we actually have to go and get the supplies to stock up our trucks. And I'll gladly answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any questions of the report? Hugh?
Bill, have you found a place yet that you would store things?
No, not yet. Once we're the last municipality to look at the RFP. So once that's complete, the chiefs will get together and discuss somewhere local. One of the spots that I know we have been talking about or thinking about is the airport. We have a phone bank in one of the buildings at the airport, so it's somewhat centrally located, but obviously we want to make sure that everybody in the county is happy with the location.
Okay, other questions? Andrew?
Yes,
Yes, thank you, Mayor Agates. I'm just wondering, I see the vendors are from quite a far, is there a response time requirement for this that we need to be concerned about?
So the recommended contractor is GFL. They have a location in Kitchener, and their response times were definitely within what we would be expecting.
Okay, other questions? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled Emergency and Hazardous Material Response / Cleanup Services dated December 20, 2022, prepared by the Fire Chief for information, and that Council authorize staff to enter into an agreement with GFL Environmental, Inc. to provide emergency and hazardous materials response / cleanup services upon signing and expiring on August 31, 2026. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, sorry, second by Bob. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move to correspondence, and the first item of correspondence is from Rita Sniker about the Milverton Beautification Committee and requesting funding for it for 2023. Any questions on the correspondence? Any direction you want to give what to do? Jerry?
I believe we don't send this to budget, I think, because of that fund that we typically let this committee use that fund towards this. Is that correct?
Maybe Paula can give us a little history lesson.
Through you, Mayor, I guess, the fund, yes, they used to use that fund, and it was automatic that they submit the budget and it would be allocated from that fund. The fund has come to zero balance. So now, I believe there was a motion passed, I think it was last year, when the funds, there was minimal funds left, that they would present a request to council for budget considerations in 2023.
Okay, Jerry?
So it sounds like we will have to send this to budget. So I move we do that.
Okay, so we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the correspondence from Rita Sniker, Milverton Beautification Committee dated December 9, 2022, funding request for the 2023 Milverton Beautification projects for information, and that Council refer the correspondence to the Budget Advisory Committee. You move that, Jerry? And second by Amanda. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second request is from Jeremy. He would like a reconsideration of our resolution for the fireworks, and I think it's because he wants a street to be closed now. Is that correct?
By that, so the contract from the fireworks provider allows for a secondary date. So we want to work a secondary date in there in case we have bad weather on the 31st. We want the 1st to be available to us as well. So that's the first statement in the first paragraph there. And then we'd like to close off Temperance Street from Wilfrid out so that people can sit on that street and enjoy the fireworks, which will be at the back part of the Perk soccer pitch.
Okay. Any questions? So first we need to do is reconsider the last resolution. So Council of the Township of Perth East reconsider Resolution 22-369, being a motion which receives the correspondence from Jeremy Matheson, Milverton Lions Club, dated November 30th, 2022, regarding a request to use the Perk soccer pitch for a New Year's Eve fireworks show for information, and that Council approve the fireworks show on December 31st, 2022, between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Perk soccer pitch, and that the certificate of insurance state that the Corporation of the Township of Perth East be added as an additional insured, but only with respect to their interest in the operation of the name insured. So this is to reconsider. So we need someone to move and to second that. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so then we're going to have a new motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the correspondence from Jeremy Matheson, Milverton Lions Club, dated December 14, 2022, regarding a request to use the Perk Soccer Pitch for a New Year's Eve fireworks show for information, and that council approve the fireworks show on December 31st, 2022, between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Perk Soccer Pitch with an inclement weather date of January 1, 2023, and that council approve the temporary road closure of Temperate Street, south of Wilford Street, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. on the date of the event, and that the certificate of insurance state that the corporation of the Township of Perth East be added as an additional insured, but only with respects to their interest in the operation of the named insured. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. That's okay. Okay, now we move down to council and committee reports. Is there any council reports this time? Nope, no meeting logs, so we would,
Give a brief report on the library board. We had our first meeting and we had one member missing, but everybody got onto their committees and I'm excited to be a part of it. Not much business actually got done, I don't think, but everybody got to meet one another and I think it was a good, productive meeting.
okay. So we need a motion that the verbal report by Councillor Matheson on the Perth East Public Library be received for information. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're going to move down to our bylaws, and we have 6 bylaws that are going to be read, a first, second, third, and final reading. We have bylaw 70, 2022. It's a bylaw to exempt lots 33 and 34 in the Mornington Ward, and this was in our package tonight on Pew Street in Milverton. The second bylaw is 71, 2022, a bylaw to appoint a municipal integrity commissioner. The third one, bylaw 72-2022, a bylaw to appoint a closed session municipal investigator. The fourth one, bylaw number 112, 2022, a bylaw to consolidate municipal drain maintenance completed in 2018 to 2021. The fifth one, bylaw 113-2022, a bylaw to provide for the amendment of the Patterson Municipal Drain 2026, repealing bylaw 107-2016, and for the collection of the amended assessments. And the last one, bylaw 211-2022, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 30-1999, concession 7, East Part Lot 2 and 3, Ellis Ward, 4080, line 42. And these bylaws be read a first, second, third, and final time. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we do have a need for closed session, so with your permission, we'll move it down below announcements. Do we have any notice of motions? Andrew? Okay, the first notice of motion is regarding Resolution 22-292, that the Council of the Township of Perth East directs staff to hold a public forum regarding Shakespeare Water, and the notice of motion is Council of the Township of Perth East directs staff to report back to Council on the following items related to Resolution 22-292, public forum held December 13, 2022, Sprucedale School, Shakespeare. Number 1, supporting background policy and authority to initiate the public poll taken on December 13, 2022, paper copy and electronic poll appearing on the Perth East website, including reasoning as to why established survey type model was not used. Number 2, background policy and authority to display information at the forum outside of the related BM Ross presentation available on the Perth East website. Number 3, measures that have been or will be taken to ensure the integrity and accuracy of paper and online poll submissions, included summaries. Number 4, make available in whatever manner applicable, the raw data of the paper and online poll results to council. Number 5, background policy and authority to destroy data after summary is stated on publicly circulated poll documents. That's the first notice of motion. The second notice of motion is regarding resolution 21-158, receive for information referring to Perth County Planning Department. Attached background information, excuse me, attached background information to accompany notice of motion for reference. Number 1, copy of resolution 21-158. Number 2, correspondence from Samuel Head Consultant, Avon River Estate Expansion Plans. Agenda item 9.1 on May 4th, 2021, regular meeting of council. And the notice of motion is that Council of Perth East directs staff to follow up and report back to council with information regarding to resolution 21-158 from all sources, including Perth County Planning Department. Okay, so those notice of motions will be dealt with at our next council meeting. Okay, any new business? Any announcements? No, this time I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, all the best in 2023. Enjoy the holidays, have fun. I know I will. So, and now we need a motion to go into closed session. Okay, and the regular meeting of council of the Township of Perth East be temporarily adjourned at 7:56 to permit the holding of a meeting in closed section for the purpose of personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. We need moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're good to go. So the Council of the Township of Perth East rise from the closed session and reconvene to regular session at 8:33 PM. I need a motion moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. And we have one motion here that the Council of the Township of Perth East approves the reclassification of the tax and utility clerk from grade 7 to grade 8, effective January 7, 2023. That's to do with our pay schedule. That's why it's January 7th. Okay, moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And our confirmatory bylaw, is that the bylaw number 73-2022 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on December 20, 2022 be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the last meeting, motion, council be adjourned at 8:34. Moved by Amanda, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Maybe you had a question. Great, thanks, everyone. Good evening, great night. Merry Christmas.